Good afternoon. This is Joel Schneider.
All right. Hi, Joel. We can hear you, and we don't want to keep anyone else waiting, so let's go ahead and get started. So thank you, everyone, for joining. Today, we are going to be talking about the importance of business process reengineering while you're implementing your enterprise solutions. Just a quick agenda. We'll go through introductions, and then we'll go ahead and get started. And at the end, we'll do some Q&A from the audience. At any time, if you guys do have questions, feel free to just type them in the Q&A section or in the Zoom chat, and we'll be happy to answer those or save them for the end, depending on how the flow works. So just a quick little bit about us, Liberty Technology Advisors. We are a 100% independent strategic management consulting company. We were founded in 1995. We're headquartered in Northbrook, Illinois, and we have a team of expert enterprise software consultants who really are the best at what they do. They are averaging each over 20 years of experience. So, lots of experience, and really looking to help you grow and be more efficient. So just a quick look at our services. We have business process reengineering, ERP and enterprise software selection, implementation, and project management. We offer technology advisory services like cloud strategy and IT road mapping, as well as interim CIO, project rescue, organizational change management. Really, we're here to help you make your company more efficient and more effective. A little bit about our panelist today, Joel Schneider. You can see Joel's experience above, but Joel founded LTA in 1995. He has over 25 years of experience in the ERP consulting world and has been a part of numerous BPR projects. And we are thrilled that he'll be joining us and sharing some of that knowledge today. So without further ado, here is Joel.
Thanks, Brad. And this is the first time we've done this where it's not video. I'm sorry about that, but hopefully everyone can hear me. And Brad, if you could just confirm that everyone could hear me, that would be great.
Yeah, I can hear you. I know that. Maybe if we could get someone just to either type in the chat or Q&A, just so we know, raise your hand, one of those. But yeah, it looks like everyone can hear you, Joel, so we are good to go.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Brad. Thanks for the introduction. Sorry we're a few minutes late, but we'll still try to keep on schedule. So today's topic is not just about business process reengineering, but it's really about business process reengineering in conjunction with the ERP system that you may be considering. So the topic is business process reengineering in conjunction with an ERP implementation. So we're going to talk about today, overview, what is business process reengineering, and then why it's important to perform business process reengineering in conjunction with the implementation of a new ERP system or the re-implementation of an existing system. Might be an upgrade, for example, or just a brand new system. And as you ask questions, put them in the chat box. Brad will relay them, and we'll make sure this is as interactive as possible. So first, let's just talk about business process reengineering really, really quickly, just to get the fundamentals of business process reengineering. So the purpose of business process reengineering is not just to document how you do things today. The overall purpose is to, A, understand your future state requirements and provide the foundation to migrate optimized business processes to help you drive to your business goals and to make sure that you also utilize the technology you have in place to help you improve your business processes. So we're going to talk a little bit later about people, process, and technology, and how those three legs of the stool come together, and why it's so important that we look at all three and not 2 out of 3 or any 2 out of 3. But in addition to that, business process reengineering is also about building quality and flexibility into your processes, not as an afterthought. So quality, which is important to every company, should not be done after a process, but should be built into your processes. In addition, business process reengineering, the overall purpose is to develop and maintain documentation on business processes, which we could have a whole webinar about the importance of documentation. It could be used for training. It could be used for onboarding. It could be used for improving business processes, all sorts of great reasons why you want to do that documentation. And obviously aligning people, process, and technology. And if you look at the bottom line, it's truly in conjunction with the ERP system, because that's the purpose of today's webinar, is to fully implement the capabilities and the functionality of that system. We want to help our clients go from an industry standard of sub 50% utilization of functionality in the system to that 80 to 90% range. If you could do that, it's a true win on the combination of people, process, and technology. And that's a core reason why you do that in conjunction with the implementation. And we're going to talk in just a few minutes about how to actually do that. And finally, you want to minimize your outside systems. Everyone has access in Excel, but you want to minimize the use of those. So you have one true database, one true source of truth for all your information, and foundation for scalability. And some other comments that aren't listed on there are things like security, training, and things like that. So moving forward, that was a lot to cover in just a couple minutes, but I want to respect the time. So as most people remember, there's a gentleman named Edward Deming, if you will, one of the real fathers of business process reengineering. And the definition there was business process reengineering is the analysis and redesign of workflow within enterprises. So the quote that's often out there is, if you can't describe what you are doing as a process, you don't know what you are doing. So just think about that in terms of an implementation of an ERP system. It's all about processes. So what we want to do is understand and optimize your processes on a cross-departmental basis, or if you will, with every department that touches that information at the same time, so that ERP system can be optimized and increase the utilization of the software. It's a big investment. Let's take advantage of it. So the question is, why execute business process reengineering in conjunction with an implementation? So this is why we feel it's very important to do it in conjunction versus spending 6 months up front doing a bunch of current state documentation. We want to make sure the value is there when you do business process reengineering. So in conjunction with, the reason you do it in conjunction with is one, all enterprise systems touch all departments. So when you do an enterprise system, it could be as something as purchasing, which touches shipping. It touches receiving and accounts payable, finance, general ledger, demand planning, even sales. They all need to be part of that conversation and business processes. So make sure you include all your departments. Two, when you put in a new system, it has to be based upon something. And most current processes are probably based on your system that you currently have that is probably old, outdated, and that has changed over years and years and years. So another good reason to do this now is it's a great opportunity to do this one point in time, redesign and re-engineer your business processes while you are going through this process. But the key one is our process. We make sure all individuals and all groups and all constituents are involved when you do business process reengineering. And we don't mean just the different departments of your company. It's all constituents that are involved in your enterprise system that you're about to implement. So what we mean by that is the software vendor should be there. It could be a software vendor, a reseller, a VAR, whatever you want to call them. We strongly encourage software vendors or VAR to be part of the business process reengineering sessions as we go through it. There also may be a barcoding vendor, possibly an EDI vendor. They could be the same vendor, could be 3 different ones. Maybe e-commerce vendors. Since these are integrated systems, you want to get all those constituents involved. And as we lead these facilitated sessions, software vendors will learn what you do today, more importantly, understand and help you facilitate improved business processes end-to-end, where they can help configure that software, understand your future state requirements, design any interfaces and integrations right there on the spot. So that actually reduces the time, increases use of functionality, and everyone now is part of the process. The feedback we've received when software vendors participate is, if all our clients did this, it could reduce our discovery, our configuration, our understanding, and implementation time by factors. So having someone like us lead those business process reengineering sessions saves money and reduces time. And here's the big thing: increases the opportunity for that successful implementation on time and on budget. There's no miscommunication. The value of that's enormous. And then finally, all the internal teams are already on board to do all the work, including the BPR sessions, to flush out requirements for your software system and vice versa. These are tremendous benefits that you will receive when you do business process reengineering in conjunction with an ERP system. The key is to get everyone involved in that process. Just a couple other things before we go on to the next slide, which is real life examples. And that is when you do business process reengineering in conjunction with the ERP implementation or re-implementation, whichever you are in your process at your companies, you will get documented processes, obviously, but you'll also document key performance indicators. So those could be identified up front. Metrics to measure business performance can be done up front. You will also be able to identify immediate business process improvement opportunities even before you go live. Think about the value of that. It's enormous. You'll understand gaps between where you are today and where you need to be, and the software vendor or vendors and VARs will also understand that. And you'll make sure that all the priorities are in place. So there's additional benefits of doing it in conjunction with. So there's some great ideas out there to do that. And Brad, if you could just go to the next page.
Yep.
Talk about 3 real-life examples. And the reason we put these 3 in there, these are completely different industries in 3 different states, all done in 2018. So these are very recent examples. And these are all business process reengineering projects that are done in conjunction with an ERP implementation. And as a matter of fact, one of them is a re-implementation of an existing system. So the first one, that wine and spirits company in Manhattan, New York, has an ERP system, has not been updated or upgraded in years. So obviously, business processes migrate over time. They evolve over time. As new people come in, they may not have learned from what the previous person did for whatever reason. So they evolve. So for this client, we came in and worked with their software vendor to completely re-engineer their business processes. And the benefits were many, but some of the specific ones were we identified and implemented key metrics, key performance indicators, reduced the month-end close process from about 22 days to 4 days, and they were able to implement their new solution sooner than what the software VAR, in this case they used a VAR, the software VAR quoted initially. We beat the time frame and the budget by over a month. Incredible opportunity there. And we also achieved the other things we talked about before, which were utilizing the software to a greater degree than what they were doing before. So now they're getting more value out of that software product. It's we'd love to talk about that wine and spirits company all day long. The other one here, obviously LTA is based in the northern suburbs. This is a company in Melrose Park, Illinois, which is real close to O'Hare Airport. Hair care manufacturing company got a brand new ERP system from a very, very old legacy system. Very old legacy system. We, with the software vendor in the room doing the business process reengineering sessions, we re-engineered all their business processes, eliminated many old processes, and improved the flow of information and the throughput, if you will, of getting things done, orders, shipments, and things like that out the door in a much quicker manner. The software vendor, and there were a few of them, they did have a barcode vendor, they did have an EDI vendor, and they did have the primary ERP vendor, were all participating in these sessions. They were able to absorb and learn more about the client in just a few weeks than they would have ever been able to do in detail using a traditional discovery session. And the difference between our business process reengineering sessions and a discovery session that a vendor may do is too many times somebody will come in and say, please describe what you do, which is fine. And then they say how you do it, which is process. The issues with that is it's current, which is okay, but it's not talking about the future state. And it's not cross-departmental. It's not taking into consideration all the places that information goes. So it's on an individual basis. The software vendor was so impressed with this process, he wants us to get involved in all their implementations up front. They also went live, completely different company. Obviously, hair care manufacturing is different from wine and spirits, but it's just a tremendous success. And by the way, they are a multinational corporation. They're in South America, Europe, with headquartered here in Melrose Park. Just a great success for business process reengineering. And finally, and once again, I'm looking at the clock to make sure we have time for questions. The last one is a materials handling company in the middle of Indiana, just south of Indianapolis. Pretty large company. This is a re-implementation of a large ERP platform product. You could guess which one that might be. And we re-engineered their business processes for the whole company. It's a very large company. It took a long time. But the result of the key metrics, the key performance indicators, the configuration of the software, the re-engineer of the software, the increased utilization of that platform product, save the company. It's a big company, so whatever the dollar amount is not going to sound real, but real oodles and oodles of money when it came to delivering that re-implementation of that product. So another good reason why you want to do business process reengineering in conjunction with an ERP system, whether it's a brand new system, a replacement system, an upgrade or whatever. Get the team involved. Team meaning everyone from your company and all the constituents involved, and you're going to really deliver success. And make sure you don't just talk about, tell me what you do today on an individual basis, which is typical discovery, but talk about true business process reengineering. And I think that's the last slide, isn't it, Brad, before we go into any questions?
Yep. Yeah, no, that is it. So Thank you, Joel. And would love to open it up to any questions that you guys have for Joel at this time.
And Brad, as you get them, you're going to have to repeat them since I'm in the car stuck in traffic.
Yeah, no problem. So we got one that just came in. It says, I would assume that adding BPR would make the project longer, but you said that you were in ahead of the initial implementation time in some of these projects. Does it add time, or is it making your process more efficient?
So it does. So let's make sure I understand that. Overall, in terms of project timeline, it does not add to the project timeline. As a matter of fact, many times it will decrease the overall project time, the overall implementation. I'm sorry, the overall ERP implementation timeline, even when you add the time to do business process reengineering. So it actually shortens the time frame with a greater result. I want to make sure I'm answering the question. There was a question about the overall time frame to do the project. It does shorten it.
Yeah, I think that's how it's reading.
Okay, good. So the answer is yes, it absolutely shortens the time frame with a better result. The downside, there's no downside, but the effort, there's a little bit more upfront effort from our client's team because they're all going to be involved up front. So a little bit different, but overall, yes, you will get a shorter implementation time frame with a higher degree of utilization of the software. That's sometimes a lower cost and no miscommunication. You're actually going to get the value out of this.
Okay, great. The next one we have here is, do you have experience coming in midway through an implementation to help with BPR?
So the answer is yes. Looking at one of these three examples, one of them, they already started the implementation, and for whatever reason, they felt that that was okay, but they said we need to take a step back and start looking at our business processes. The software vendor was not capable of doing it in the appropriate manner, and so yes, we came in. Mid-process is not unusual. Obviously, it'd be great if we had this as part of the overall plan, but it's not unusual, and yes, we've done it in that way as well.
Great. All right, if anyone else has questions, please go ahead and submit them. While we are waiting, if you do end up thinking of a question after the fact, we're definitely happy to answer them, happy to talk to you more about BPR, enterprise software selection and implementation. We're here to help you out. Please contact our practice director, Joe Ambrose. His information is on the screen in front of you. And if you like what you heard today, our next webcast is going to be coming up in December, and we'll be sending out information for that shortly, but it doesn't look like we have any more questions. So I think with that, if you do have questions, go ahead and email them over and we will definitely reach out to you to answer them. But I want to respect everyone's time. And yeah, with that, thank you, Joel, for calling in, and thank you to everyone who was able to join us for today's webcast.